Good evening, YouTube. So I just finished watching the presidential debate. So I will say this very quickly. I thought that this debate was much better moderated than the last one. Um, so that was a plus. Um, Biden spent most of his time, it was actually irritating to watch, but most of his time lying in rebuttals to the president, making everything emotional. However, one thing did really catch my eye. He openly admitted in this debate that he was fully against the oil industry, particularly fracking. And here's the clip which takes it.
What do you do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions, the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would
question.
he close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the
By
oil
the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry,
It's
yes.
the same thing.
Oh,
Whoa,
that's a big
transition.
statement.
It is a big statement
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal, but
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time, and I'd stop giving to the oil industry. I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. You won't give federal subsidies to the gas. Excuse me, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All
give
right.
it to solar and wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because
We have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I
Ohio.
have to get to the final.
You know, I didn't...
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. So now Trump basically stood back and let him hang himself by making that statement. Here is a beautiful piece that the Rebel put out that basically identifies the U.S. gas shale basins throughout the United States and I guess a little bit into Canada there. So all of these states will be theoretically affected should Joe Biden become president because their livelihood depends on that statement which he just made, which he fully intends to shut him down, which means they'll probably lose their homes, including their businesses. The statement that Joe made there was just beyond belief stupid. And Trump basically sat back and amplified it and let him hang himself because it was pathetic. But essentially, we're living with the same kind of ideology here in Canada. It's the same thing, but it's already implemented. And let me tell you, the whole climate change, the radicalization that has occurred because in the name of environment and anti-pollution, and exactly the thing that Joe talks about, basically destroyed Alberta. So, as Trump said, watch out, Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, watch out. You're going to be in trouble if this guy gets elected president. So there's another thing here I wanted to show you.
But boy, they got the case made today. But you know what? Absolutely no doubt about it. The highlight of the debate, I'm not going to call it a kill shot. I don't think there was one. But the moment that was surprising, I think I gasped out loud, was when Joe Biden said he believed the oil industry needed to be phased out.
Yeah.
And Trump couldn't believe
Trudeau
it.
says that
He
all the
sort of
time.
said, wow, mark that. I mean, it was so shocking. And Trump wisely let Biden keep talking.
Yep.
And Biden did keep talking. It wasn't a gaffe. He means it. And his Green New Deal and the AOC. I mean, when Trump was talking about $100 trillion, okay, maybe, maybe not. But when you heard out of Biden's own mouth, I will phase out the oil industry. What? By the way, the demand for oil in the world has never been higher. It's dipped over the last 6 months because of the pandemic, but that is
Right.
not a structural dip. That's just a temporary dip. Oil and gas booming across America. You saw Biden say, oh, no, I'm not against fracking.
Yes, he
can frack
is.
both oil
Yep.
and gas, by the way.
Yep.
But then he says, oh yeah, I'd phase out oil. Oil, a multi-trillion-dollar industry, an essentially American industry,
Yep.
an industry
Yep.
in places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, Alaska, all the Gulf states.
Yep.
That to me was an incredible moment, and I know the mainstream media doesn't care because the mainstream media
But anybody
lives
listening
in
to
New
the
York,
debate will
Washington,
care.
and LA, and they don't think about oil, although they love their private jets and their cars. But so many Americans work in oil and gas. I know for a fact 200,000 people in Pennsylvania work directly for oil and gas fracking, and then those who depend on them. When Joe Biden says, I will phase out oil, Trump says, whoa, and Biden repeats it. Oh, I predict, Sheila, you will see ads in Pennsylvania tomorrow
Yeah,
on
Yeah.
that.
tonight.
That was as close as a kill shot as you got tonight, in my view. Last point, Trump was strong on immigration, at least
Yeah.
for his base. He was talking to black Americans very strongly. That's not his base.
Yeah, yeah,
That's his growth area.
yeah.
But boy, was he strong on, you know, deportations and ICE and people not showing up for their immigration hearings.
Yeah.
He was strong on that last point. He was excellent on the Paris Global Warming Accords and saying windmills. And even when Joe Biden said, oh, I don't like black people living near factories. And Trump said, what, they're making a lot of money. I thought it was a strong performance by Trump. He controlled himself. The format helped control him, as in the mics being off. The moderator exceeded my expectations. I thought it was a great debate. I really enjoyed it. It went by quickly. I'm going to give it to Trump on points.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we saw Trump at his best behavior. He really knew the numbers.
Yeah, there was something that Sheila talked about later that she has personal experience with farmers up there.
Black perpetrators of drug.
Mine that's been there.
Friend Phelan McAleer made it to tell the story of how fracking saved Pennsylvania, because it didn't just provide jobs. It did something else, and that was that it saved family farms in Pennsylvania,
there it
because
is.
the jobs dried up. People were losing their farms, but the lease agreements with the fracking companies provided extra revenue to save family farms. So it's not just these people who work in fracking that Joe Biden stands to absolutely destroy. It's everybody else in those communities too.
That's the one, yeah. I sympathize completely with that because I remember the United States under Obama, and I mean, like, people were losing everything. They were losing their livelihoods. They were forced to go to get food stamps. To say that they killed America, that's an understatement. They parasitically weakened America to such a point that its nation lost hope, but even more than that, that they lost complete confidence in anything improving, you could say. So when Trump came in, there was a lot of things that he brought to the table in his conversation that actually lift spirits when he would go and talk to people at his rallies. And not to mention that they're also quite entertaining. So, but you have to understand how disheartened the American public was under Obama. After Obama was out, it was just a tragedy. We have relatives in Los Angeles that can testify to that, and they saw the entire thing just slow to a crawl. Expensive property devalued to nothing. You could get a huge portion of land in the States for pennies on the dollar, and with a big house on it and everything. It's just incredible. If you had extra capital laying around, you wanted to buy a nice house in the States, my goodness, you had the dual citizenship going on, you should do it. But essentially, Obama should be remembered as the president that nearly killed America, and is wholly a traitor to America. That's how he should be remembered. History will probably distort it, because education always distorts history or omits history or whatever, but I think he should be remembered in that way. And Joe Biden as well, his henchmen. The thing that I could say about the debate is that Trump I felt Trump could be more aggressive. There's so many times in which Joe Biden is lying, and Trump can just go fact check, and bring out the truth. And I thought, well, the moderator was better than the last moderator, which was an absolute catastrophe. This new moderator, I can't remember her name, from CBS or whatever it was. She managed to, well, she allowed Trump to make his rebuttals properly. And I would say she was almost unbiased, because it was fairly well moderated for both sides, although I thought that they did give the edge to Joe Biden too much. Not the edge, but mic time. But again, I think Trump should keep reinforcing to Americans to remember how bad it was under Obama, because people's memory seems to be short. I hope not, but given my experience here, that's what I notice. It's like people's memory doesn't go back 8 years. You're lucky if it goes back 4 years. So, you have to constantly remind them, like, it's one thing to say that Joe Biden in 47 years did nothing, but you need to remind the American people just how bad it was. Maybe you don't, but I think it couldn't hurt. Yeah, Trump needs to reiterate how weakened America was under Obama. This is what is the danger of letting the radical left control a country. The fact is that after they're done, you won't have much of a country left. Your national identity will be destroyed. Your borders will be destroyed. Foreign businesses, companies, entities will buy controlling stake and influence all over, and essentially corrupt your system within by buying off certain politicians. That's one of China's favorite tactics. Everything that happened to the States is happening to Canada as we speak. Trudeau is essentially Biden, but a weaker, stupider version of him. It's everything that Biden says, essentially Trudeau has already acted out, implemented. And what did they do? They killed the oil industry. And I'm as sure as I'm sitting here, Joe Biden definitely stated tonight that he fully intends to kill the oil industry, and that should give a wake-up call to all those states whose people's livelihood depends on that, because it's nothing short of a miracle that Trump managed to get that energy independence for the Americans. That's amazing. That should be worldwide. He's credited for doing a lot of the things, but inside of the nation, it's like the media it's as he says, the media will suppress any victory, anything that portrays him in a positive light. And imagine the negotiation and the efficiency of the negotiations that have to take place, and different people coming to the table. It's immensely complex to achieve something like that, and it's nothing short of a miracle. But anyway, no, the debate, to me, I really felt that Trump could be more aggressive. But essentially, Joe Biden is nothing short of a liar. And, well, between the two of them, to me, it's an easy choice. Biden is even more of a senile loser than Hillary Clinton is. And that's remarking on his intellectual prowess. Just because I feel that it's quite low, and I don't really think he knows. I'm sort of under the belief that somehow he's able to get these questions in advance so he can have time to prepare. Otherwise, he'd be hopeless. But anyhow, with that being said, thank you for watching, and good night.